Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ada, and I'm a belly dancer among a lot of other things. I'm also a lifeguard, and I am a certified firefighter paramedic, although I do not work at a department right now, and we will get into that in a little bit. Today's video is not about dancing. We're going to talk about endometriosis today. It is something that I have recently been diagnosed with because I had a surgery, and really the only way to find out whether you have it or not is to have a surgery. So we're gonna have to back up a little bit to understand kind of where I'm at. So I'm gonna try to make this video not long, but this is more of just a discussion for anyone else out there who wants more information on it, who is suffering through it, who just got diagnosed, who thinks they might have it. Honestly, it's one of those weird diseases that there's a lot of info, but not a lot of info all at the same time. And it's kind of a silent disease, or whatever you want to call it. There's not a cure, and it's progressive. So that's how we're going to start this today. Okay, so I got my period when I was 10. I am 32. That's a lot of period years. And to be fair, I started off with really easy periods. The worst I really got was like lower back pain, and that was fine. They got heavy as I got older, like in my 20s, but when I really realized how heavy my periods had gotten, it was 2013, the week before I got married. I got my period after stress skipping my September period. So my periods have always been normal. Like I'm like, oh, I got my period, because they were always pretty regular. And so it was really weird for me to skip September because I didn't do anything to skip it. I think I was just so stressed about the wedding and getting married that my body was like, and it skipped. We had a scare. We thought I was pregnant. I took like 3 pregnancy tests, and I was like, oh my God. And they kept being negative. So I was like, okay. And then finally, the week before my wedding, I got my period, and I was so glad. The first time I can remember my period being so heavy that I was like, what in the hell is happening right now, was the week before my wedding when my period came back. I was with my friend, with one of my best friends who had come down for my wedding. Her name is Rue. We were in the parking lot of, I will forever call it MGM. It's Disney's MGM. We were in the car finishing my eyeliner, and I turned to her and I said, Rue, I need to go now. My period just came, and it is back with a vengeance. So she had some napkins in the car, not sanitary napkins, just regular napkins from like a drive-through. And that was gonna have to do until we got into the park. And at the time I did not use a menstrual cup yet. So I shoved napkins in my underwear, and we hightailed it to the park, got in, and went straight to the bathroom, where I had to wash my underwear and wash my shorts and dry them. Like I went into the big stall, and they had like a hand dryer in there, and I had to wash them and dry them. And ever since then, my periods have been ridiculous heavy. My lower back would hurt so bad. And I had to like take ibuprofen all the time. It wasn't like excruciating pain, but it was just like really uncomfortable. But then my period would be over and it would be fine. And we moved on. Then, like I was using super tampons, and then super plus tampons, and then eventually I moved on to ultra tampons, and I would still fill them in 2 hours time. That's a lot. That is a lot of bleeding, but it was only ever uncomfortable during my period, and then it would be done, and I would go on with my life. And it was fine. Like it was only just, like 5 days, and then we were done. Okay, great. As the years went on, I decided to use, in 2015, I started using a menstrual cup. The Lily cup was the first one I used. It was a Swedish brand, really good, but I found that the capacity was too little. So I ended up moving to a bigger cup called the Jenny cup. That one holds about 1.5 to 2 ounces. And my bleeding is so heavy that I would pretty much every 2 hours have like at least 1.5 ounces in there. You shouldn't be losing more than like an ounce in those days together. Like the whole period should not be more than 1 ounce. Buddy, I lost 1.5 ounces like every 2 hours for about 5 days. That's towards the end of the journey. Like getting there, it was like the first day was okay, the next day was like the heavy day, and then it would taper off. But it just kept, the heavy day over the years just kept being like, oh, now it's 2 heavy days, oh, now it's 3 heavy days, until eventually it was just like the whole thing was heavy. Like the first day wasn't, and then it was heavy, and then it would be done. Like it was just it was basically like someone turning on a faucet for however long and then turning it off. That's just what it was like. In about 2016, something like that, I was in fire standards at the time. I was working at Transcare as an EMT only in Tampa, while also going to fire standards here in Haines City. And I just remember whenever I had to work or be at school with my period, excuse me, it was really like embarrassing and kind of scary and like stressful, because I had to be like, oh man, because I was one of two girls, and of course in the fire service, you can imagine, like, and definitely in standards, they're like, oh, are you trying to get out? Are you trying to get out of practice? Are you trying to get out of like PT? Are you trying to get out of not having to do tower climbs? They'll make an excuse, and this goes for anyone. If anyone has to go to the bathroom, it's like, you're not trying to get out of it, are you? No, dude, I just have to pee. Leave me alone. But with a period like mine, that, by the way, ladies, or anyone listening to this, if you have it or if someone else has it, someone you know has it, your wife, your sister, your girlfriend, your whatever, if you know someone who has these symptoms, get it checked. Heavy periods are not normal. If you do not take anything else away from this, take away that heavy periods are not normal. You should not have to run to the bathroom every 2 hours because you're leaking. You should not dread your period coming because you now have to literally plan your day around being able to go to the bathroom, to put a new tampon in, to put a new pad, to empty your cup. You should not have to structure your day around your period. And that's essentially what I was having to do, was structure my day around my period. The good thing is that I was using a cup now instead of tampon, so I never am going to run out of the thing that I need. But it was still really annoying. While working as an EMT, not even being in like academy, while working, it's like you don't always know when you get a chance to go to the bathroom. Or, okay, so I dropped a patient off and now I have to go to the bathroom, but you had like a 20-minute turnaround time, and after a certain amount of time, dispatch would be like, where are you guys? Where are you guys? Why aren't you back? Why aren't you back? And it's like, if I had to run to the bathroom all the time, or if I had like an accident, or sometimes, I would have to go and change, and I would start like, I don't want to say cramping, but I would start hurting, and I would have to just sit there and wait for the pain to kind of like go away a little bit to be okay, and then move on with my day. Or sometimes I would be fine, have emptied my cup and put it in, and literally half an hour later it was filled again because for whatever reason it decided to bleed a lot. But in standards, it was the same way. Like, I had to try to go to the bathroom when we had downtime, and we didn't have a lot of downtime because the whole point of academy is that they're drilling you the whole 8 hours that you're there. You're outside in gear, pulling hose, running up and down stairs, flipping tires, pulling tires, dragging this. And it's hot as hell outside. We're in Florida. And I started in like the dead of summer. I started at the end of August, beginning of September, where it's like you step outside and you're instantly dehydrated. It's really intense. So it was heat and weight, and it just kept getting worse. Like the heaviness kept getting worse. But again, it would only happen during the week that I had my period, and then we would be done and I was fine. That was April of 2017. is when I graduated, and I was interviewing at two places, two departments to get hired at, and my mom and I were just reading stuff because my symptoms were just not getting any better. And like everyone bloats or retains water or gains some extra pounds when they're on their period, but mine, like, I think the most that usually women can like go up in weight is like up to 5 pounds, but I would go like almost 10 pounds heavier, from 8 to 10 pounds heavier while I was on my period. Like the bloat was insane. Um, it was like, obviously it's bloating. It was like tight and it was kind of painful. But like I said, as soon as my period was done, it was fine. Like after like 2 days, like I would go back and it was fine. My mom found iodine, like liquid iodine drops that were a dietary supplement that were supposed to help with heavy bleeding and pain. And so I was like, listen, I'll try anything to try to lessen this pain, because the periods were getting so intense that it was just really bad. So I started taking it. 3 drops under my tongue, followed by 2 Brazil nuts for the selenium, because you need selenium so that your body takes in the iodine. And let me tell you that it worked. Like every month my period was better. It was still heavy. I'm not saying that it got like, oh, it's normal. No, it was still heavy, but it was more manageable, and the pain wasn't as bad. And that was awesome. And I took it. I was like, listen, this is great. I'll take it. But I saw some positive results and I was like, perfect. So I got hired at a fire department. I was an EMT at the time, like firefighter EMT. And I got hired there. And so I dreaded having to have periods while I was working, because again, while it was more manageable, it was still heavy, very heavy. It was still one of those things where I was in the bathroom every 2 hours. It just wasn't as bad, if that even makes any sense, but I promise you it was better. Like the pain wasn't as bad. The length of the period wasn't, like, it wasn't 7 days anymore. It would like go down to 5 days, but within those 5 days it was pretty bad. I remember one night, thank God, my mom was like, hey, I bought you some period proof underwear. And I was like, okay, great. I wasn't sure how I felt about them yet, because I never really tried them, but I was like, I'll give them a go. And let me tell you, they saved my life. And that day I was on shift that day. I came home that day, like when I got off shift the next day, and I ordered $200 worth, because they're slightly expensive. She had got me an off-brand kind, but I went on Thinks and I bought 2 boy shorts, 2 briefs, and 3 thongs. And they like have a deal, like if you bundle them, it's a little bit cheaper. So it ended up being like $200. And let me tell you that it is the best $200 that I have ever spent in my entire life. I wore those period proof underwears that my mom gave me to shift that day. And I was the only girl on my crew, and we slept in a co-ed room. Like there was 8 beds, 8 like those hideaway beds. So they were up during the day, and then at night we would pull them down, and we all had our own bed sheets that we would put on the bed. So I wake up at like 3:55 in the morning to pee, and as soon as I opened my eyes, I was like, oh no. Like I felt it. And I know some of you out there are like, oh crap, I've had that feeling. Let me tell you that I knew how bad I had leaked through my cup. And I was like, I crossed my finger. I was like, please don't let it have stained the bed sheets, because the bed itself was white. Like they're gonna know it was me. I was the only girl on crew. So I was like, oh my God, please. And I got up, because you don't turn on the light when you have to get up. You just learn how to freaking be a lemur and see in the dark. I don't know. Like, just, you adjust, and you just kind of know, like, the way you set up your little bed. And, like, I knew my boots were here, so I didn't trip over them. I got up silently, because you don't want to wake anybody else up. I threw back my covers, and I looked down, and my covers were light. They were a white background with like little small colored print on it. So it was a white base. And I looked down and I don't see any blood. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God. Okay. So I quietly ran to the bathroom across the hall. And when I got there, I was just, I'm telling you, that underwear worked. It was covered. And I'm sorry at how like TMI this is, but you know, this is what we're talking about today. Covered in blood. I started crying. I was so like embarrassed and freaked out, and my lower back was hurting and my womb was hurting, and I didn't know what to do, and I was trying to be quiet and like clean everything up so that I could go back to sleep and not wake anybody up so that they didn't realize what was going on. Hopefully I was not in the middle of this if we got a call, because literally you could get a call at any minute that you're there. And I was like, please, please, please don't get a call right now. I need to fix this. I need to try to clean up so that I can be okay. Like, my shift is almost done. I have like 2.5 more hours before the next crew comes in, and I can go home. And luckily we didn't get a call. Like,